Starfield. We're doing a guide to outposts, building, crafting, setting things up, and generally getting stuff done. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. And yeah, outposts are actually kind of, to me, a little intimidating. You don't necessarily get a crazy amount out of them, but they're pretty cool things, and they're very interesting things to set up. And you do have the potential to mine and or collect resources from them, which can be, well, incredibly helpful. So we're here on Earth, which honestly isn't the best place to have an outpost, but it's where I built because I wanted to recreate Canada, because, yeah, anyways, so I kind of built this where I live, and I thought this would be kind of a fun thing in the game, and it's where I've kind of been learning about the outpost setups. So let's go to the basics. So when you first want to build an outpost, you open up your scanner, and you'll see on the bottom there with the X button, we have Outpost. That will give you the option to create an outpost. I would recommend a planet that's got like trees and animals and wildlife and some minerals, because you probably want to mine. This place, we have like chlorine, so yeah. Anyways, because the game actually has a whole suite of different things you can do. And yes, the wires I've set up here are just crazy. I'm sure there's more intense in depth kind of things that people will put together on this, but I want to get you going and get you started. So you build one of these posts, and then from there you can go up to the post and you can press A to build. It offers you the building mode and the modify mode, which is pretty cool. There's also usually LB and then outpost, and it allows you to go into that as well. So two options, because it's like you're not always going to want to press A, so it really is, in my opinion, just really easy to go LB and then press X, and you're building. Because you could do that anyway, right? If I'm over there, I can have this pop up. So I have kind of just easy ways to kind of get into your building. So the game itself offers either personal you on the ground building something, or there's also this really helpful alternative higher up build option. So the toggle view button, which is the back button, allows you to get an aerial view of your building. So that is really just incredibly helpful to be able to build from this Sarah's commitment gift. Oh, cool. Put that in my house. So yeah, you just get this really nice aerial option that allows you to be like, okay, how do we place this? Do I want to place this here? Do I want to place this there? This is like a much easier way to build, in my opinion, especially like the housing structures. And it's easy to switch between the two of them. I mean, like, you can build like this, right? I could be like, hey, let's do this stuff and that. Let's kind of continue with, I think, a little bit of the building stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the manipulation of objects, but let's kind of do that inside the outpost that we've set up here, so we can kind of talk about things a little bit further. And there is a lot to this. So the hardest issue for me with outposts is supplies. It is so hard to get the resources because you're always over encumbered. I don't know, maybe you got mods going on if you're on PC, that makes it easier. So there is some ways to kind of get around that a little bit, which helps, but for me, the essentials really do come down to specific kind of resources: aluminum, copper, helium if you're kind of fueling generators, nickel seems to come in a lot, and like an adhesive, which I don't have on me, is really important too. Sealant stuff, kind of like there's a basic set of like resources that are so helpful for building. So let's talk a little bit about like item placement. So we're in here. Let's not pull out our gun because we definitely do not need that. Let's do something, I don't know, a little easier going with, say, well, actually, you know what? It doesn't matter what you build, because you can just recycle it for pieces anyways if you don't like it. In case you are wondering, like, you can create something and then you can just easily destroy it and get your stuff back. So let's do something useless like a whiteboard, which, might look cool aesthetically. So you can rotate it with RT, LT, you know, easy. You can press X to track the resources you need to go find them out in the world in case you're like, oh, I need this. What do I need? And you press the X button, it tracks it across the universe, and it gives you that little blue magnifying glass in the top left corner. That's also in the top left corner what you actually need to make these particular structures. There is also a build limit on the bottom left there, but it seems to be pretty massive, and I mean, you get like a set area, so it's like I don't think you're gonna really run into too many issues there. But let's just place this. And there we go. Now we have this object here, and then we can easily press A on it if we want to, like, you know, move it over there, whatever. It's that simple. So there's some other elements, too, in regards to movement, because, like, honestly, you might want to get a little bit more in depth. So there's smaller objects. Let's just drop, for example, miscellaneous, I don't know, something cool. I'm just kind of wondering if I have a succulent on me. I do. Always got a succulent nearby, because I am infamous for stealing succulents in this game. So, yeah, there we go. There's our plant. You can build in third person if that's something you're a little bit more comfortable in. But let's go back to it. So we've got the plant, and as always, we can, like, press A on the object, and we can place it within the environment anywhere we want. It's similar to my dream home guide. If you do need help with the dream homes and doing, like, more of, like, a house customization, I do a video on that as well. But this is more for Outposts. But basic object manipulation, you know, press A, pick it up, put it wherever you want. There is also more advanced, so that is outside of the build mode. You go to an object, you hold A, or, you know, platform equivalent, and it's supposed to let me pick up the object, which it is not currently allowing me to do. I think that's because I have my gun out. Or the succulent is giving me a hard time. Yeah, usually there's advanced placement where you can actually, like, throw stuff around a little bit, which is kind of annoying that it did not let me do that. Let's try with this succulent, why not? Yeah, you're supposed to be able to hold A. There we go. See, I was like, does it not work here? I was like, what am I? I've done this before. Anyways, so this is an advanced placement. Must have just, you know, bugs. It's Starfield, right? So yeah, so now we've got this succulent, which we can place a little bit more dynamically. Like, it's not, like, kind of stuck in a spot, and it's got physics applied to it. But, you know, we can place it, and you can just press the A button to drop it. And, yeah, but there's more complex stuff. So we'll pick it up again. You can hold X to throw it. You just want to throw it, because there's, like, you can get, like, little bins that you can put stuff in, which is pretty cool. But you'll know, like, okay, so we press, like, RT, and it rotates, LT, and it rotates, but it only rotates one way. So you can press in the left stick, and then it'll begin rotating another way. So there's right, and then left to trigger, and then you can press the left stick again, and it's another axis. So you can basically rotate it on all the different axes in order to create the perfect placement that you want for any of these objects that you know you can kind of pick up. And you can kind of do this anywhere too, but I thought it was just a cool little tip that might help you in this kind of outpost guide, right? So let's pick that up. We got the whiteboard here, absolutely useless, so I'm just going to kind of, just gonna delete it. I really don't need this here. Great, so yeah, we got that kind of going. We talked about building, we talked about creating stuff. Let's talk about the different options for what you can build. So we've got a bunch of different tabs here. We have the extractors, which will be like your mining stuff, and every planet will have different things depending on like where you built. If you built somewhere where there's like iron, you'll be able to have like mining stuff. If you have the right mining tools, we'll talk about research in a sec here. And then there's your power. So power is really important because your outpost needs power to actually manage, you know, be useful. And you can put up lights too in order to see stuff. You can do fuel generators. You can do wind turbines. Yeah, there's all these different options. Solar arrays, and you can get more as you level up. Then your storage. So your storage transfer, your storage containers, kind of over there. You know, solid, liquid, gas, and small warehouse type stuff. So they'll hold different things. Then your builders. So if you want to fabricate, if you want to do compound fabricators, you should probably be doing this outside because these things are so large. Your structures, you know, your airlocks, your habitats, your military stuff, watchtower, all that kind of thing. And adaptive frames for building stuff. Adaptive frames for everything like that. And then crafting. So your industrial workbench, your cooking station, your pharmacy stuff, weapons, your research lab, which I believe we have one outside. You do need like like a crafting kind of station. Like you do need that for your people. And you do need crew stations. So this allows people to be assigned to your particular outpost. So, kind of important. You do need these crew stations, so you actually have to build them. 2 people get the indoors. 1 person's lucky and gets to have the outdoor view, which is still kind of blocked, but I mean, you can look back and, enjoy the beautiful open ambience of the habitat. So, yeah, that's kind of that aspect. So you do need, like, crafting stuff, and it's to get your people actually, like, in industrial work. Like, you actually need stuff to get people to, like, be building, crafting, doing things within your environment. Like, there's some things that are actually important for your build. So we're actually going to put that in here. Because you do want your outpost to actually, like, be productive in building and whatnot, right? Cool, so then we got defenses. Believe it or not, your citizens need to be protected. Because, like, well, I don't... There might be, like, I don't know, raider attacks, depending on if you are holding something of value. But, like, if you're on a planet with, like, aggressive enemy creatures, you need to actually protect your people because they, like, walk around outside and, it's dangerous. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. And the robots are really, really helpful. Do not underestimate robots. See, this is a 10% increase of gathering for organics. Small but good little security, little cute robot. But these ones, 10% for manufactured production, 5% for production rate. Like, robots actually can make a difference, and they look really, really cool. Then you got your furniture. So another thing to kind of mention for building is, you see where the chair is at the top right there. It's got 1 out of 27, so you can actually move left and right on the D-pad, and you actually have like a ton of different options. And you can see this for a lot of different things. You could build all kinds of different stuff. Now, you don't necessarily need decorative type things, but I would highly recommend beds for recovery. And I think the well-being of your crew, too, it's got some factoring element in regards to how your crew sort of behaves and whatnot. So kind of a good idea to do that. Then decorations, which is similar, you've got like rugs and stuff to put on the walls. So it's more aesthetic. Then displays, so if you want to have mannequins, you want to go all I am, legend and stuff on it, and you can dress up the mannequins. But display stuff, helmet stuff, weapon racks, your usual. And the miscellaneous. So the miscellaneous is actually pretty helpful. But this is where you find your crew stations so that you can have more crew members. Your cargo link system so that you can send goods in and out of the system, which I have set up over there. Your landing pad. So if you got like a small ship, typically when you land at your outpost, like your ship will actually kind of go near your outpost. If you have a large ship like I do, you need to actually build a landing pad. Otherwise, you're going to be over encumbered with items, and your ship will be in the middle of nowhere and quite far from you, and you could die on the way getting to your ship. There's also mission boards and self-clearing bounties, which if you spend a lot of time at your outpost, I would recommend actually building because they're very good to kind of interact with in order to get stuff going. So let's talk about another element, and there's so much to this. Seriously, guys, like outpost building, there's so much to it, and like I said, I don't know if you necessarily get a ton out of it. It's a cool thing to do, but it is like a lot of work. Cool, so let's talk about the research lab, which I need you to please leave so I can actually do this research lab stuff. So this is where you get your stuff built, outpost development. I've got multiple tiers of outpost development going, and you can see the required materials for the different steps. But you start out with like basic stuff like decoration 1, I think like manufacturing 1. And you need to improve your outpost engineering rank 1. So you actually need to get your skills increased to certain ranks and certain levels for you to be able to build more stuff. So like depending on where you are, you can do like horticulture, where you're growing plants and stuff, or domestication, so you can deal with animals. I got that kind of going. It's really, really in-depth. Like you've got to like do things where you sort of like tranquilize like the domesticated wildlife, and you got to have people that manage that. It's a whole thing. Same with like resource extraction, getting more intensive research options for mining and whatnot. Same with manufacturing for creating stuff. And as I said at the beginning, Earth, not the best place to do this kind of stuff because I don't have like the animals in that, but it's where I've got my resources and stuff put currently. And then outpost defense, getting better laser troops, better outposts. And then robots as well, getting better robots, more robot options, power generation, better power generation. So kind of a tease of some of the stuff you can do there. For me, decoration was important because I really do want to personalize my dream home. So that was a big part of the experience for me, was getting the decoration levels and having the maximum amount of things that I can create for that sort of thing. And you do need, like I said, to unlock each of these tiers, and you have to get the required materials to unlock the tiers. Luxury textiles, you'll want to go to the Schrodinger system and kill fox bats, I think they're called, or you can luckily find them in other places. But yeah, so that's outpost development. I mean, there's other areas, but that's not specifically focused for outpost development, so I'm not really going to dive into that aspect of them. Cool. So yeah, we've got that all set up. Let's continue on here. I know it's a lot, and I'm trying to get through it as effectively as possible, but there is a lot. And there's probably going to be stuff I missed too, where more intensive people are going to be crazy about it, but I think I'm covering the basics and talking about some of the more complex concepts and getting you started so that you don't have to sit here and be like me, where I'm kind of like, okay, how does this work? Or how does that work? Or, you know, what are we doing here? What do we get out of this? You know, stuff like that. So let's go back to outpost building. So the next aspect I want to talk about is power. So on the right-hand side of the bottom, you can see power. Total power, needed power, your crew, your cargo. So that aspect is you need power to actually run stuff. And while I have created like lines of stuff, it does kind of mostly work by itself too, to a degree. But if you do want to create priority and priority focus for stuff to run, you do need to go to objects and actually press. Usually it's like RT is an option. Like you're trying to find like the quick select. Here we go. So like this create output link is RT, and then it will basically, if it allows you to like target it, you can target it. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? Like it's not going to let you create an output link to something that doesn't create an output link. So that's what you're trying to do, is create output links to different things so that you can use stuff. And that is really handy for, I don't know, powering things using your generator, if you'd like to use your generator for powering stuff. The other cool thing is you can create an outlink option that will allow you to transfer goods from different places. So that's where we have the cargo. So the cargo transfer allows us to very easily, when we press X to transfer, see stuff in our transfer container. So we have materials in case we need to use it for building stuff. But you can also press LB to go to your inventory and LB to go to your ship's inventory, if you've got your ship everything set up in the vicinity, so that you can take stuff and send stuff to and forth, right? Because then you've got the mass of your ship, you've got the mass of the cargo, and by extension you have the cargo containers, and then everything's synchronized, and it doesn't hold unlimited stuff, which is a pain because I'm always not having the resources I need to build anything. But it does help a little bit with your inventory management, and it helps a lot with getting stuff going. You can also just drop stuff. Like if you have a bunch of like rocks and stuff, like minerals that you're using, like say lithium and whatnot, you just drop on the ground. It's not gonna like disappear or anything, as long as like, you know, your companion doesn't kick it around. You're like good to go. But that is a big element too, is the actual storage of your inventory, because that is, to me, such a pain to handle in this game, is inventory, and I try my best to give you help on the inventory management. Oh, and there's also the quick select. So we use this menu for setting up stuff really easily, but if you do want to, you can go up to an object and you can like hold A to open up the quick menu, and then you get different choices like outpost, move, delete, and then the wiring process, where you can create wiring between different objects so that things are powered like that. So there you go. Now you'll see that we've got a wire set up between the two of them. It's kind of not really needed because, again, we've got enough output from the solar arrays, but it is an option if I do want to put in stuff to actually power this, because it needs helium, which is what we collected, but I don't want to waste helium by putting it in right now because we don't need to. But you put the helium in, and then you can like press A to activate it, and it activates. So there you go. That's the activation element of that. Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the shipping stuff. What is that in the distance? What is that doing there? That's weird. Okay, I'm not going to think about that right now. So this is the outlink system. We've got our ship here kind of waiting. So you've got all these pads that will help you do stuff. So we've got the console control, outgoing resources, build resources needed. Here you're able to remove, create links, supply stuff. If you have missions where you're supposed to supply certain areas with supply cargo, you'll have that available there for outposts. Depending on the outpost link you've set up, you can outpost link to other outposts with outpost links that you've created across your different systems. So there is your cargo incoming, which you can quick transfer again, like I mentioned earlier. There's another control panel. And here's your outgoing, which again, you can transfer very easily between your different setups, the Starborn Guardian, the ship, everything like that, which is nice and simple. Then we have the ship dock. So this is another area that we've created, which allows your ship to land here. It's big, it takes up a lot of space, and you'll have to be careful in its implementation because it will cut off the space you have for building. But like with everything in this game, you can move it at any given time, so it doesn't matter. Here's a great thing. You can go to the quick menu. You can buy ships from here. You can view and modify your ships from here. Very, very easy going. There's my ship. It lands here where it's supposed to. It's great. There's also one if you have a smaller ship, you can have a smaller dock. Let's talk about crew management. I know, really exciting. You've seen some of my crew, the Adoring Fan. He loves to be in Canada. Who wouldn't? So you go to your inventory, you go to your ship, you press the Y button to go to your crew, and then you can tab over to Outposts to see who's got, who's in your crew. We got the Adoring Fan, we got the Garden Mini Bot, we got 2 Outpost Specialists. Pretty great. So you'll be in your All section, and let's say somebody isn't, I don't know, Sarah's not assigned, you press the A button, and then you can assign her to the place. So we've got Yarny going on in the Schrodinger system, which is where I'm trying to do some domestication, but obviously I gotta set that all up, and I need more resources and more stuff to get over there, and it's a whole thing, tedious menus, blah blah blah, doing all that work. So there you go, you can assign the crew, you press A, they're assigned, they go there, well, you usually transfer and travel them, and then you can improve how many people you have in your outpost, because there's limits. Same with your ships, through the various skills that are present, but you need to get to like higher skill tree perk things. So there, now I can have more people in my ship, but there is one for having more active people in like your crew, and you've got to level that up, and yeah, there's a lot going on. Okay, there's also scanning, so you press A to see the resources. Make sure you scan before you build. I guess I should have put that earlier, but I think that's obvious too, where I'm talking about mining certain resources. Scan the planet, pick a place where you get to actually put stuff down, build what you want, play around, fiddle around with outposts. Nothing you place is finalized. You really can just like pick it up and move it. Keep in mind the essentials. You need an airlock, right? You need an airlock, you need crew stations, you need some kind of manufacturing stuff. It's easy to track your output at your crew by just pressing, the outpost area, seeing your production in the bottom right corner if you've got production going, which I don't. So I don't have the power stuff set up for the chlorine stuff, but once the chlorine stuff gets stuff, if there's chlorine in here, you'd be able to go up to it and you'd be able to press like A and take it. But, we had that going. Now I don't have it going because I don't have the generator going. And, it's this whole thing of production and creation and whatnot, manufacturing. But I think that kind of covers your outpost building. It's complex. There's a lot to it. It could be really overwhelming. So I do hope I kind of helped. So basically scan, find your resources, build your outpost, create the place you want, find people to work for you, and then get your outpost going and build more if you'd like to. And don't forget the robots. They could be really helpful for building up something that manufactures better. But it is very complex. So good luck out there. Again, liking the video is great. Subscribing is great as well. And